Good day, El Paso. Good day, YouTube. Your local junk hauler here, Charlie, aka Dumpster Daddy. EPDumpsterDaddy.com. Go ahead, check us out over there. We are in the backyard. Today is Monday, February the 23rd, in the year of our Lord 2026. Shout out to my baby sister, Rachel. Today is her birthday. I will be giving her a call later on to let her know happy birthday from your brother. But we are getting ready to head on out to the west side. I think I'm going to go to the cardboard recycling first to get rid of some of this cardboard that I picked up from a client. But we have a client on the west side that needs a printer removed. This Walgreens. I am going to give them a call. They sent us an email a few weeks back requesting this date specifically to go out there. So I'm just going to confirm that they still want it done. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get that done for our client. Going to put our A-frame out, get that out. And I am going to do it today. I am going to sit down. I'm going to go on Amazon and I'm going to order two more A-frames, two more metal A-frames. And I'm going to see about getting the one that I have refixed. I need to find somebody who can do welding and see if they can't put it back together for me real quick. But yeah, so we got a few things on the books on the agenda for today. And I told my wife, I said, I'm seeing that these gurus, there's a bunch of gurus out here, a bunch of people who are selling services, for junk removal companies for, to help you get out there, to help you start your business and things like that. And when we started junk removal, the only thing that I paid for was my YouTube subscription. And I went on YouTube and I looked around and I saw guys out there showing how you can make, money with a truck. They were showing how you could put some sidewalls on that thing and build you up a business from there. And the reason I was looking for a business to get into on my own is because it was 2020. And during 2020, we were working at the Walt Disney World Company, me and my wife both. But we were both there for about 10 years. But during this time, the company decided, because of the pandemic and shutting down things, they were going to let some of us go. And we were part of that leadership team that they let go from the company. Now, the company did take care of us. I will never poo-poo on Disney. I love Disney. But they let us go and they gave us a severance. So I took that severance and reinvested that into my truck, F-150, because I saw Matthew Vick talk about how he used his Toyota Tundra pulling around a utility trailer or whatever to go out and make a living after he got off of his regular 9 to 5. Now, for me, I had made the decision when I started looking for a business to get into for myself because of being laid off. And I was like, I'm not going back into corporate right now because I need to work on some things. And plus, I want to figure out how to go out here and make my own money, make my own way, make my own living, and not be dependent on a corporation. So with that in mind is why I went through YouTube and started looking for people who were making out here making money on their own. And number one thing was low barrier of entry. Just had to figure out how to get a truck. And low barrier of entry, I mean, like, I wanted a decent truck and I knew I had some money sitting in the bank. Me and my wife had been stacking bread. We were paying for our wedding. Because of 2020, things got canceled. We got a refund on from a lot of our vendors when it came to the wedding. So we were sitting on that. So we had a nice little nest egg when starting this business. And in getting into this business, I reinvested what I had into what Disney had gave me into the truck. And I told my wife all of the money that I would spend would go toward me developing myself for the business, to go out here, to be able to talk to people, to be able to interact with different businesses or people from different backgrounds, and start working on what I need to do in order to move ahead should and when I decide to get back into corporate. So I have a plan for developing myself when wanting to and ready to get back into corporate. And that is part of the work. That's part of the work that I need to put in for myself. So when it came to starting this business, when it came to getting in junk removal, yes, I was looking for a business with the lowest barrier of entry. The most expensive thing for us at the beginning was getting a truck. Then the hardest thing was getting that first client, then pricing, getting in front of people and talking, or just doing what I do. I don't have a problem with. It's still developing. Still developing myself, being more comfortable, being more professional, business oriented. How I want my business to come across when meeting people. So, it's all working. And I was talking with my homeboy Eric out there, and I was telling him, I said, man, I need to put in some time and start learning some Spanish, because that would be of great benefit to me, especially living here in El Paso, or being in Texas, period. I when looking at the competition out there, when looking at other junk removal companies in El Paso, and seeing how they operate, how they move, and things like that. There's a bunch of us truck and trailer guys, like I've said before, a couple of franchises. I know that some of the moving guys offer junk removal as well. So we got to go out here. We're all competing in this marketplace, and we're trying to get as much market share as possible. But I also am starting to look at YouTube and look at social media as another area of competition, and that's where the work is. I think that's where I'm going to start actually putting in the work. Now, you heard me say before, I live, work, and play from home, and I've been doing a little bit too much playing. And when it comes to playing, I mean getting on my PlayStation 5 and playing Madden, and putting in too much time and work on that, and not working enough on the digital side of my business. Because when you go out, you're doing work. Had a heavy lifting job, couple of heavy lifting jobs over the weekend. I was tired, I was beat. Really wasn't trying to put in much work on the digital side. Now, I use the excuse of it being my birthday weekend, spent time with my wife, went out to dinner, went to shows, did all that type of stuff. But now it is time to start putting in that work, because I see that through the digital side, if you put in work over here, you can become a guru. And you can start putting together courses and selling courses and things like that. And I've noticed that because I was, perusing YouTube, and I saw that, there's this couple I've done a couple of reviews on in my Dumpster Daddy show, and they have, started a course where they're teaching other junk removal companies how to go out here and do junk removal, and they're giving advice. And they, have a podcast and all this other stuff. And I noticed that there's another Dumpster Daddy or Dumpster Daddies in Texas. So now I'm starting to look at all of these different styles of junk removal content and junk removal going out here and performing the jobs and as competition in different ways. But yeah, it's you got to go out here and compete for market share all the way around. So now I'm going to put in the work. And I told my wife, I said, I'm done using the excuse of my birthday celebration. And now it is time to get to work, because like I said, we have other goals. And when I'm ready to get back into corporate, I want to be in the position of decision makers for different companies and corporations, or whatever. I'm not going back in as any entry level manager or any of that. So when it comes to my plan and my goal for developing myself for the next phase of life, that's where I'm headed to. So now I got to start putting in that work to not only grow the business, like I said before, but grow the digital side, and then grow myself professionally as someone who is a thought leader out here, someone who can go out here and give perspective on things and that's going on in the world, going on in business, going on in entrepreneurship and all that. So now I'm putting, I understand what the work is. So live, working, and playing from home, but now it's time to put in more work. Let's play. So here we go. Dumpster Daddy, about to get in this truck, start a day in the life vlog. We're going to talk more about this over there because I'm feeling real amped up, feeling real motivated, and ready to do what I need to do to separate myself from the other junk removal companies in El Paso, and also the other junk removal companies names that's using the other junk removal companies that's using my same name. Ones that started before me, ones that started after me, ones that started at the same time nationally, and go out here and see what noise we can't make for ourselves. So here we go, looking for visibility. Dumpster Daddy, back in a bit.